And welcome back to the Tea and Soju C-Drama podcast, your safe spot for C-Drama chatter. I'm your host, Liliana, and it's time to sit back, grab your tea, and let's chat Asian dramas. In today's episode, I'm joined by Jess, Caitlin, and Becky, and we are going to be doing a review of the 2022 Chinese drama Reset. So, before we get into that, let's just do some housekeeping. If you like the podcast, please like, share, and subscribe on the platform you listen. That really helps the podcast reach other listeners. For more content, check out Patreon, where you can find behind the scenes, first impressions, movie reviews, and more. Finally, if you like to chat to me or find a community, check out Discord, Instagram, and other socials. The link is in the description notes, and the link will be in the description notes for both my socials and everyone else's. But Jess, would you like to say hello? Let's start the episode right and get everybody's intros, even though you guys know them by now.
So, my name is Jess, and I'm the host of the Teba K Rambles podcast. We talk a lot of Korean dramas over there, but it's a smattering of everything now: Chinese dramas, Taiwanese dramas. Season 5 is coming up, so stay tuned for that. You will see a lot of familiar faces. All 3 of you guys are going to be on season 5 of Teba, so I'm really excited. And what would have been so cool for this intro of this episode is if you said, like, in today's episode, I'm joined by the drama trio, and then just repeated the line, because it's like goes with reset, just like said it again.
I can do it again. Like, I
No.
Again.
It's too late. It's too late.
I can.
That would have been such a good gag, though.
That would have been. Oh no!
Everyone would have thought they're skipping. They would hit back, and then it'd be like, start over again.
Start over again. Yeah. Start over again. Right, Caitlin.
I love it.
Hi, I'm Caitlin. I'm the blogger for No Sleep for Dramas. I'm also now the podcast host of
I was gonna say she can introduce herself as a podcaster now. Yay!
Yes, I now have a podcast with the same name. So you now have 6 episodes, I think, out now that you can all binge. But yeah, I'm very excited to talk about this because I'm really excited to hear what Jess thinks about this.
Yeah, me too. And we've got Becky, who you also would have known. She's been on a couple of times, but Becky, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Becky. You might know me on TikTok as Don't Sue Rebecca. I like to talk about all things dramas, anime, webtoons, manhwa, all kinds of stuff like that. But yeah.
I feel like now we just need Becky to start a podcast as well.
Yeah. I feel so I'm going to, but I just have to edit it. I tried doing it like actually before we kind of started recording together. I had started trying to do it, and how do you edit things? Because I've been trying to edit this for 2 months.
I don't. That's the answer. I don't edit.
The answer is different for every podcaster, but we'll talk about it like offline, I guess.
Will.
Yeah.
We will. When we wrap up this episode, we will talk about it. But I think you just have to find what works for you and go with it. I think that's like the best advice you can get. Like, it sounds silly, but it is the best advice, I think.
Yeah, well, I have to join you guys.
Yeah, and the main thing is like not make it a job. Like if it starts feeling like a job, you won't like it anymore.
Absolutely. So. And I do want to say I'm so excited for season 5, Jess. I cannot wait for it to get going. Yeah. Honestly, I'm so excited for it. I think you're going to have a really, really good season. So,
I'm excited for it.
You guys. Yeah, they'll be getting episodes left, right, and center from everybody now.
Right?
Yes, everybody's gonna get content. You're gonna be overfed, basically, from all of us.
No, definitely. There's no overfeeding over here happening. The more the merrier. Right. Should we get serious now? This is a serious drama.
But is it though? I'm just joking.
There is parts that definitely have comedy in them, that's for sure. So, shall we read? I'm going to read off the MDL description. An unexplainable phenomena finds college-going student Li Si-ching trapped in a never-ending time loop where she is always stuck on a public service bus, which is due to explode, bringing death and destruction to not only herself, but to all on board. Desperate to find a way to escape not only the time loop, but her tragic fate, Shi-ching inadvertently drags fellow bus passenger Xiao He Yuan into the time loop as well. Together, they try to find a way to alter their fate by ensuring the bus arrives safely at its destination, but attempting to do so proves anything but easy. So that's actually a really good description. Well done, MDL. That's a really good description. So
Nice.
for
Yep.
cast, we have Bai Jingting, and he plays Xiao He Yuan. You would have seen Bai Jingting in things like Destined and New Life Begins and Our Hero. So he's been in a bunch of stuff. And
He has a
then we
drama right
have,
now, doesn't he?
yes,
He's in a
he
drama right
does.
now.
It's one with
Like on a
Gina
train or
Jin.
something.
Oh, what's the name of it? Gina Jin, because I actually want to try it out.
It's like
And
along the train or alone on like something on the train.
is it? Does it have train on it?
I could be wrong.
Always on the move. That's what it's called.
There we
Always
go.
on the move.
Yes.
So yeah, that's currently airing on iQIYI right now, and it also stars Zhao Jin Mai, who's having her moment of glory right now because she is the female lead in A Midst a Snowstorm of Love, and you know she really broke out with this role, but she's been in a bunch of other stuff as well. So I think she was in, oh my God, what is the name? See, this is what happens when I don't write down
So
the
I had
things.
seen her before in a little thing called First Love.
Yes, that's where
So
she was
when
from.
yes, that's a 2019 show. And so when I saw
Hmm.
her in Reset, I was like, oh my God, it's Homegirl from a little thing called First Love,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
which is an okay show. Um, very sweet show. Like not a bad show by any stretch. But I hadn't seen her since then.
Mm. She's been in The Blessed Girl, which I did end up dropping at the time. It wasn't like her, it was like the story itself wasn't really working for me at the time. So yeah, but this, she has been gaining more and more popularity. Reset really, really like put her on the
Yeah.
calendar
Do
a
you
little
guys
bit
want to
more.
know how old she is?
She's like
How old is she?
22,
She's
isn't
20
she?
something, isn't she?
She's
She's
so
21
young.
years old, which means she was
Yeah.
born in 2002.
Why have you got to do this, Jess?
And
Why?
I don't like it one bit.
Do you know what though? Do you know what? Right, this will shock you, Jess. You know, this is relevant to age and, you know, things. Do you know you watched Cooning Palace, didn't you?
I did. I loved it.
Right, right. The second male lead, Wang Xingyu, who's
Mhm.
also now in Amidst a Snowstorm of Love. Do you want to know how old he is?
He's probably in his
22.
20s.
22.
22. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
yeah.
22.
I made a face.
She did. Jess made a face. Jess made a face. So yeah, they are very young, aren't they? They are
Too
very
young. Too young.
Talented.
Oh,
Talented
talented.
and young.
They are. The thing is, it feels like this new generation of up and coming actors, it's like they're getting better and better. Like, I don't understand what's happening in the water over there, but they are definitely getting really, really good. So yeah, so that's the main two people in this, but we also
Mhm.
have Liu Yi Jun who plays Zhang Chang. I think that's the cop.
Yes. Yeah, he's the old Zhang
Yeah,
is
he's
how
the
I
cub. Yeah, yeah,
called
yeah,
him.
yeah. Liu Tao, who plays Du Zhu, and Huang Ju, who
They
plays
did her
Wang
dirty in this
Xing
drama so
Di.
bad. They did her
And
so
then
dirty.
we also have Liu Dan, who plays Tao Ying Hong.
Wait. You're
Now,
talking about the cop with short hair?
The one with the glasses.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
a
yeah.
wig.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
a
yeah.
wig.
No. It was
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So let's pause here because that wig was atrocious.
It was
Yes.
so
It
bad.
was.
was
It was
horrible.
horrendous. It was horrendous.
I like there was no point for her to wear that wig at all. There was
And it did
no
nothing
point.
for her. Like,
No.
what are you trying to tell me with this like
No.
horrible pixie cut
Yeah.
on
Just
this
put
No.
her.
obviously stunning woman?
Just
It
put
made
it in
her
like
look
a
so
bun or
bad.
something. Like just put her hair up in a bun or something, like a cop would normally have.
Like every
I
female
don't,
cop had a pixie cut. Tell me why.
I don't know. Maybe it's a thing over there.
I mean,
don't know.
it could have been regulation.
Mm.
No one, okay, so no one is going to want to be a cop. No female is going to want to be a cop. If you're telling me I have to wear my hair like that,
Yeah.
sign me
But
out.
even the
Sign
one
me
who
out.
had
I
a
don't
natural
think-
pixie cut, that was like good looking. The other,
Right.
the
don't
other was like
think-
a wig. Like,
And it was
don't think
sticking up in
it's,
weird places. Like it had static cling almost.
like there was no, it didn't even look real. Like I don't understand. I think this was a conversation when it actually aired. Like no one understood why they went that way.
It
Like,
was a
no one.
conversation.
It was
online.
because
They're like-
everybody's like, I think it went viral. Everybody was like, what the hell did they do to her? Like, why?
They butchered
Why
her.
just her?
Have you seen Reset
I-
with the bad wig?
Yeah.
I don't think it's a regulation thing though, because they did. Bai Lu did a drama where she played a cop, and she just had her hair in a bun, and that was it. So, and she had her long, luscious, locks. So I don't think. I think it was definitely. I don't think it's a regulation thing.
And then
Maybe-
unflattering
maybe-
glasses as well.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
like
it's
ill-fitting
really unflattering
uniform. Like
glasses.
everything
Yeah.
about it was bad.
It was just bad.
It was
Maybe,
so
maybe
bad.
she really,
Right.
really.
Why did they have to
peeved
wear
off the,
uniform and the boys didn't?
I mean, she
maybe
was
'cause
above
it-
them
I don't
though.
know.
She was
Yeah, no,
ranked.
She was.
It
still,
was ranked.
still
was.
didn't make sense. I feel like the higher you go, the less you should be held to
Nope,
certain
nope.
standards.
In a cop shop, that is not the case.
No, I didn't like it
Detective-wise,
one
you're
bit.
wearing streetwear.
What
'cause
I'm
that's
seeing
you have
is
to do.
only the females have to follow the uniform rules, and none of the males do.
I mean, none of the males were all detectives.
Okay, so the younger one with the good wig,
She was
she was not a detective. She was
no,
just
she wasn't. No, she wasn't a detective. She was like a
but
forensic.
she was doing all their work.
She was the data person, and she stayed in the station. She didn't go out of the station.
No, she went out.
Yeah, but she wasn't doing detective stuff out.
I didn't like it. What I'm saying is it wasn't fair and I didn't like it. It was a
it.
was a harsh look on our girls. Anyway, Liu Tao, justice for Liu Tao.
I know,
Just-
seriously. So yeah.
So,
Sorry, Liliana.
That was my bad. Sorry.
it's fine. I mean, we're
That's why I
used to-
said before we started, you were like, "Oh, this is a serious show." I was like, "Is it though? Is it a serious show though?"
I don't think, even if it was a serious show, I don't think we could do a serious episode.
True.
I don't think that's in our DNA. It's not. I don't think, I'm sure we would find a reason to go sideways. It just-
All right.
right. Director. Should we go? This actually has two directors. It's directed by Son Mu Long, and he directed Candle in the Tomb and Mining Town, which I actually want to watch. I do want to watch Mining Town because apparently it's like one of the biggest dramas in China. It just didn't do, as big outside of China, but. And then we have Liu Hong Yuan, who did Surgeons and Southwind Knows.
Well, I'll
have
never watch
watched-
Surgeons. I can tell what that's about.
Yeah. I don't think I will either. And Southwind Knows I dropped it because I wasn't there. It's Chang Yi, the guy from Love and Redemption. And
Oh, he's so
just
pretty.
pitiful. He is. He's really
He's
pretty.
pitiful.
Really rude. He's pitiful in everyone. I don't think I've seen him do the one that I really want to finish up is Mysterious Lotus Casebook because apparently his character is way more fun in that. But
Mm.
he I don't know what it is, but his dramas always seem to have like characters where he's suffering a lot. So I don't
Well,
know.
Love and Redemption, they
Dad
could
went
not
through
make him
the
suffer
ringer.
anymore. Yeah, like that was ridiculous.
It's because he
So
does it so well, though. That's why he
he
keeps getting
does.
those
He
roles.
does. He
Ugh.
does do it really well. So, right, for
Okay, can we
screenwriting.
quickly go back to Lutau though? I just found something that I think is funny. So I quickly like just put Lutau and reset in Twitter,
Shut up.
and it
Shut
says
up.
this was when it was airing. It was like hashtag Lutau prepare drug test is trending #1 on Weibo. Hot search in relation to Lutau's role in Reset because her character says prepare drug test many times in the show.
Also,
So
people
they
were making
and
fun of the
someone
repeating the
took
same
all
line.
someone took all her scenes saying that line and put
A
it on a time
supercut.
loop.
Oh
Yes.
my god.
That is what they did with her role in this. It was either that
I
or
feel so
like her
bad for
appearance all
her.
over Weibo.
Yo,
Like-
she could not catch a break.
Like, imagine that show got
Jeez.
And this
so
was like a
much.
guest role. Like this wasn't even
This
like
is
a
this-
role role.
Listen,
Like,
for
it was-
those who are listening and have not watched Reset and you're just here for a good time, this is not a main role. This is like a
No.
side role.
Yeah,
not even
yeah,
like
yeah.
she's not even in every episode, I feel.
Yeah. And she's like a top tier actress. Like people were surprised she took this role. I remember when they like announced this because they were like, oh wow, they got her. And then this is what they got in Reset. Saw the atrocity of her costume. She was great in terms of acting, but like they didn't give her much. So yeah, that's the other thing that trended. That apparently trended when this was airing was like a time loop, like a loop of her just saying that line over and
Oh
over
my
again.
gosh.
That's
Oh
crazy.
god, that's funny as shit. Okay. Sorry, keep
Sorry,
going.
go ahead. I'm
I think
sorry.
you were on you were on the screenwriter, I think.
Becky was going to say something.
Oh,
Oh
sorry,
Say
sorry.
gosh,
something.
that is gone. That is out of my mind. You're good.
Right.
Maybe it'll come back.
Screenwriter
reset.
and director. So the screenwriter also directed. So three directors at this point. Is Lao Swan, and I think I could only find Madhouse on this. So yeah, so it's 15 episodes of 40 minutes. It aired from January 11th, 2022 to January 25th, 2022. Almost 2 years ago, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
2 years
Happy
ago.
anniversary.
This is 2 years old.
Yes,
Oh
it's
my
2 years old.
God. I didn't realize. Oh God, I thought it was still last year. It is a Tencent video drama. It's adapted from a novel by Duan by Chi Dao Jun. It filmed from June 5th, 2021 to August 5th, 2021. It like filmed in 2 months. It was
2
really
months.
quick. Yeah, really, really quick. But to be fair, they could just loop a lot of episodes, I'm just going to
True.
say, because, that's the whole point of it. I mean, the amount of times that probably Bai Jingting and Zhao Jianmei had to like wake up on that bus.
That's
Yeah.
Right. You're right.
Because there are takes that didn't get like, oh my gosh.
Right.
Like, the
They're
amount
doing
of
their
times they
best
probably had to loop.
That's So Raven impression.
Exactly.
Every time they woke up on the bus. That's a niche. I don't know if
Right.
everybody's watched
The
the
blank
Disney
stare.
Channel.
Oh yeah.
I have.
That's So Raven.
I used to
Okay.
love That's So Raven. Right. This was filmed in Shayman, and it has a Douban score of a 7.9 and an MDL score of 9. So, Douban and MDL
Brutal.
rarely ever meet.
Douban is
7.9.
brutal.
But there is a reason why it's a 7.9 on Douban, and I can't explain until we get into the spoiler section later on, because
All
it's
right.
to do. Yeah, I'll get into it because there was a bit of a uprise about the drama. So I will talk about that in the
Okay, sweet.
down below.
Drama.
So this you can watch this in a bunch of places: Viki, Tencent, Yo-Yo TV on YouTube, and the Yo-Yo English channel on YouTube as well. So that's it out of the way. That's all the I think we should let Jess go first on her first like
Yeah.
non-spoiler thoughts. Just because we're all out before I don't think we've said this before. So Caitlin, I and Becky, we've seen this before. This is a rewatch for the three of us, and this is the first time Jess is watching it. So that's why we're so
Mhm.
excited to see what Jess has to say. So Jess,
Yes.
take it away.
Okay, so I came at this drama because it came so highly recommended from all corners of Drama Trio. Becky was raving about it. The internet loved it. And I was excited to watch it. I watched it on Vicky. So look, I started watching it after work one day, and I think I inhaled like the first 5 episodes or something in the first night. And I posted on Instagram, and I was like, are we supposed to like stop watching the episodes? Because each episode ends on this massive cliffhanger, or it makes you just want to keep watching to figure out what the hell's going on and how they're going to resolve this. It is so addictive to watch the show. I had a fantastic time watching. And I'll tell you, the only times that I was really annoyed with the drama was the police like propaganda of it all was like the biggest ick that I got, and it kept getting sort of progressively worse throughout the show. Was that you had the female lead just having so much faith in the police, and she was like, we got to go to the police, we got to help them like figure it out, we have to trust that they're gonna fix this, that they're going to stop the bomb on the bus and all this stuff. And I was like, where is this coming from? And the second ick that I got, besides the police are all good all the time ick, was the surveillance state that is China, evidently, because there were high-res cameras in every corner of this city that they are in. And I was like, okay, so not only are the police evidently perfect and can solve every crime like within days of it happening, but they find everything out immediately about everything that's on the every person that's on the bus. And the students, like, they have their ID card, they know where they go to school, they have everything immediately on like a resume sheet. And I'm like, that is nuts. Like, that would take forever here in the States because of like privacy laws. And that doesn't exist right in China. So I was shocked with the expeditious level of information that they are able to get, the police, I mean, on every person, and the surveillance that they have. They were like, oh, they entered the park over here. And I'm like, they're tapping into these things like the CCTV, like they have like a feed on everything, and it's not privatized. You know, like they're like, oh, we need the feed over here from this building. And I'm like, that's I guess that's on a public net. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was shocked. And I was like, is this real? Is this just made up for the show to like make it convenient for the police to find them in every loop? Like, I was like, my head was reeling. So that was the second ick that I got from the show. But otherwise, I was like living for every loop. I really enjoyed this sort of slow burn, like romance thing that was happening between them. And the fact that they're just getting out of their own stupidity and like panic in every loop and trying to come at the situation more logically, because they're like, they'll do stupid things in every loop. And you're like, why? Like, why would you do that? Why would you announce this? Why would you just decide to do this? And of course, you're an audience member. You have all your faculties. You're not under duress. Like, of course, you can like think through this situation. You're not on the bus. So, but it was very cool. I guess who it was. which
Did
I'm very
you?
proud of. Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
We'll talk about this in spoilers, but
Mm.
I guess half of who it was,
Mm.
which is a very interesting thing to have happen. But I had a great time with this show, and I would love to hear all of your thoughts on this show and how you experienced it and how your rewatches went.
Right. So for me, I still really, really enjoyed it as much as I did. The thing is, and this is a me thing, not a drama thing, once I know things, it kind of loses a little bit of magic. This is why I don't
Uh,
rewatch. This
Yeah.
is why I hardly ever rewatch anything. Like I'll happily sit there and rewatch like scenes of dramas, but
mm,
I very, very rarely rewatch a full thing because it's like my brain just doesn't engage anymore. Like, oh, I know what's coming, it kind of loses that quality. And I know some people can like rewatch things endlessly and be very happy doing so. But even saying that, I had forgotten a bunch of details
mm,
and it was really good to kind of like zone in on those little details, and knowing who it was allowed you to kind of like pay a little bit more attention to everything else happening, because you know what's happening, so
mm-hmm.
you kind of like pay attention to the little details. So so yeah, like I said, I still enjoyed it. I still think it's a really good crime thriller, I would call it. It's still a really, really good crime thriller. I think it's still really well written. There is a couple of things that I have with it, and but we'll get into that into in the spoilers. But overall, I still really enjoyed it. What about you, Caitlin?
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way like you, Liliana. I barely rewatch stuff because the minute,
Mm-hmm.
especially with crime stuff, like if I know
Same.
the ending, I'm like, there's no point. And like that's why I drop crime dramas if I figure out the culprit before the end, because
Mm.
like it's not fun for me, you know? But yeah, I still really enjoyed this. I still had my many, many problems with the cops in this drama. Like
There's
my
so
first
many there's
there's
so
so
many.
many things with the cops in this drama, and I had the same
That's
thing.
the
I had
thing too. That's
yeah,
what's upsetting is that they're so upsetting.
yeah,
Like the cops
exactly.
are absolutely infuriating.
And the
Yeah.
interrogations, they're just all of
Wild.
it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, so like I had a lot of issues with the cops in the first one. Same with like same things that you said, Jess, but also other stuff. Um and I had those same things like in the second watch. I like had forgotten how much stuff I had problems with until I like rewatched it, but
I can't wait to hear
it's
your
still
problems.
yeah. I
Like
mean,
on
I
top of
definitely
like what
yeah,
I
yeah.
said.
But I still had a really fun time. I still liked seeing these two together. I also noticed a couple things, like they didn't investigate every single person on that bus,
No, they
which I
didn't.
which I didn't
No.
notice the first time. um,
Like the
um,
well, no,
like
that's spoiler. That's spoiler.
yeah, so
I was gonna
yeah,
name someone.
yeah. So but yeah, overall I think this is still a really solid. I'm really curious. Well, I'm not gonna say that because it might be spoiler. So we'll
Dang it.
wait. But I it's still a really, really good crime thriller, like one of the best Chinese ones I've seen. Will say that still.
What about you, Becky?
So I'm the same way. I barely ever rewatch things because it's just once I know you can't you can't watch it the same. But it
Are we all
is
the same person?
I think so.
Because none of us rewatch dramas really.
It's it's interesting when you rewatch and you start noticing some details that you didn't notice the first time, but overall, it just kind of takes a lot out if you already know what's going to happen for me.
Mm.
Personally, though, I did enjoy the rewatch. It was really cool. I just love what they do with like basically just going in depth with all the characters and just like you have emotions towards every single character on that bus,
Mm.
whether you like it or not, because you get those backstories. And I loved it. I still think it's a great drama. Honestly, like what you were saying with the police propaganda, that is something that definitely, like anytime there were police scenes, since I've already seen them, I'm like, I'm just gonna, I don't,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna do a
Next.
little clicky
Skippy skip.
button.
Yeah, yeah.
But overall, I still love this drama, and I still think that like if you watch it for the first time, it's such a ride that you can't leave your seat. You're just glued to the screen. You want to know what happens next. They do so good with the cliffhangers and making you want to know what happens next, and it's a good binge watch for sure.
Hmm.
Right. So for ratings, and then we can get into the spoiler section because
Yes.
you can't really talk about this that much without spoiling. So for
Absolutely.
ratings, we got one teacup, which is didn't really enjoy it, but something somehow kept me watching, and that is a 1 to a 5.5 on MDL. Two teacups, which is it was okay, not really the best, but an okay pastime, a 6 to 7 on MDL. And then we have Three Teacups. Good. I enjoyed this drama and would recommend to people who enjoy this genre. And that's a 7.5 to an 8 on MDL. Four Teacups. Really enjoyed it. Loved it. Would recommend to a wider audience. There may be a couple of problems, but overall, still very much enjoyable to watch. And that's 8.5 to a 9.5 on MDL. And then you have the Five Teacup. This rating is reserved for those that I chased and just absolutely loved them. I can ignore all problems with it because I loved it that much. And that's your tens. So for me, this is at the time I rated it a 4 teacups, and I will still stick to a 4 teacups because, like I said, yes, there's a couple of problems, but it's still a really, really enjoyable watch. And it is one of those dramas that I would recommend to a wider audience. It is a shorter, easier drama to watch. So I think for me, it's still a 4 teacup. What about
Mm.
you, Jess?
I would say four, but maybe if I'm being real harsh and mean, I would say
Mm,
3.5 teacups, just because the front half is almost pitch perfect. The last half, not so much. I do get a little tired of the loops. I do get the sense that even though it's 15 episodes, I'm like, this could be 12. Like you
yeah.
could cut a few loops and nothing would be necessarily lost. You could cut a few of those interrogation scenes and I would be
Mhm.
actually feel better about the drama. So 3.5 to 4 teacups is my rating.
What about you, Caitlin? What would you rate it?
Um, I would say I would do 5 because, like, overall, I think I noticed a lot more of the cop stuff just because that's my background and I watch a ton of cop stuff. And I think some of the stuff I was annoyed about, normal people probably wouldn't even notice it. Um,
I
and I
can't wait
mean,
to hear
I
this.
mean,
I can't wait to
Yeah,
hear this.
even with like the propaganda stuff and everything, like if you kind of just turn your mind off and you just like watch it, I think you could easily do that without being annoyed. So I think you could ignore most of the problems that people have brought up about this problem and then just like watch it and still really really enjoy it. So I would say 5 because I think this is a really good starter drama for people, like
Mm,
to bring them into Chinese dramas.
Mhm.
And with the issues, it's not like it's like an acting issue or like a plot issue. Really, it's just like some nitpicky stuff that like
Mhm.
people who've been watching dramas for a really long time might notice, or people who might have a criminal background, like criminal justice background like me, would notice type thing. But like that's the thing. Like if I watch a crime drama, I'm gonna notice stuff. Like it does that's
yeah.
kind of just something I notice all the time. So I think that's why I'm giving it a 5 because a normal person with not my background probably would not notice as much as I do and would be able to ignore some of the overall problems that people like Jess pointed out. Um so I would say give it a 5 because I think you could easily ignore the issues because they're not like huge take me away from the story problems.
Mm. What about you, Becky?
So with rewatching, I remember I gave it like a 5 and I was just like, absolutely. But just because like after a while, I mean, specifically with the rewatch, the loops do get very you know, some of them are very repetitive, especially with the police interrogations. It's just like, can we stop? Can we just stop doing this? I want to give it like a 4.5. I still very much love it. I think it's a great drama, like what Caitlin said, for beginners, especially if you're trying to branch out into Chinese dramas. The acting is fantastic overall, and just I really love the plot and how everything like gets wrapped up, besides like, you know, a couple of things. So I still very much recommend this drama.
So, we're all like, it's in the high,
Mhm.
ratings for all of us, which is, fairly good. So, this is your spoiler warning. If you haven't watched this drama, I would highly recommend you go watch it and then come back, because once this is spoiled, I feel like it doesn't work as well. Like, this is one of those where
Yeah.
even me who loves the spoilers, I loved watching it not knowing what was going to happen. So, this is your spoiler warning. Let's get into it. So, where do you guys should we start with plot wise? What did you think the plot, how well it was constructed, and the stories were told and everything. So, should we go, because Jess is a first time watcher. Let's see what Jess
Me again.
thought. Yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah.
gonna
I'm
go
just gonna go
first
to you
every
today. I'm
time,
picking on
Jess.
you
All right.
today. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We
So,
want to know.
all right. So I love Groundhog Day, first of all, and I enjoy time loop stories, like within reason, because I'm one of those people that hates the movie Looper, for instance. And there's some people that like will die on that hill, love the movie Looper for some reason.
Mm.
I don't get it. But I generally love time loop stories. And I love the movie Speed, by the way, with Keanu Reeves and Sandra
Yep.
Bullock, which is a bomb on a bus story. Okay. And when you combine Groundhog Day and Speed, that's what this is. And I was like, oh,
Okay.
I'm all in. I'm all in. So before I said that I guessed who was the culprit. So they're trying to investigate every person on the bus and whittle
Yeah.
down who it is, because in one of the loops, she's just like, why don't I just announce that there's a bomb on the bus? Let's stop the bus. And so she gets up and goes, there's a bomb on the bus. And it detonates immediately. So they're like, they deduce. And then the next loop, they wake up and they're like, oh shit, there's a bomber on the
On the
bus.
bus. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And as an audience member, I don't think any of us were very surprised that this is where the plot went, and that the bomber is on the bus, and they not only have a timer that detonates the bomb, but they can also manually detonate the bomb. So at that point, you're like, okay, who is it? I was immediately like, even before that, I think episode 1, I was like, the bus driver's in on it. The bus driver, the bus driver, the bus driver.
Mhm.
And I was sore up and down. I was like, the bus driver's super sketch. Like, he has to be in on it. There's no other way. And even though there was nothing specific about the bus driver that I was like sniffing out, I was just like, it's him. Like, him, officer, it's him. So when they revealed that it was the woman in with the red handbag or whatever,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was like, that's fine. Usually, I think most people would be like, oh, dang, like my guess was wrong. Whatever. Okay, so it was this lady instead. It's this woman passenger that's on the bus. Instead, I said, okay, it's her and the bus driver. He's still in on it. Like, he's in on it for sure, for sure, for sure. In my mind, there was no other way. Like, he's also in on the bombing. And lo and fucking behold, he's in on it.
Yeah.
When that episode came up, that he was the husband and he was in on it and all this stuff, it was like 10:30 p.m. on a Tuesday night or something like that. And I scream at the top. My sister's already asleep because she sleeps early. I scream at the top of my lungs, I knew it in the family room. And when I did that, I was like, oh shit, because obviously my sister's asleep. But I was like, I'm a crazy person, because I knew from episode 1 that freaking bus driver was in on it. So I'm very proud of the fact that I didn't let that go.
So for me, I didn't know about the bus driver. I did had an inkling towards the lady with the red bag, and I'll explain why. It's because I've seen her a couple of times, and she
Oh, is she
tends
always
to
crazy?
play. Yeah, she tends to play these crazy characters.
She's
So
always
I'm
crazy.
like, yeah, like either these evil or crazy characters, because she does it really, really well. She does it really freaking well. So I'm like, that's the only thing. But I was like, at that point, I remember when I first watched it, I was like, no, I'm just being crazy. Like they wouldn't, it's just like at that point, I'm like downing myself because I'm like, surely it's not. She might just be playing a nice lady on the bus this time. And I was like, I should have trusted my instinct
Nice
because
lady on the bus.
A nice lady on the bus.
that is not what she is.
You go
She
on
is not
IMDb. That's the title.
nice
Alternate
lady
title:
on
The
the
Nice Lady
bus.
on the Bus.
So that was my two cents on that. When I first watched it, did either you, Caitlin or Becky, did either of you have like any inkling to who the killer was?
Go
First
ahead, Becky.
time, I don't remember, honestly, and that's what makes me mad because I have such a bad memory. I don't remember because we were watching it, and I think because like the bus driver was just very kind of, I don't know, he gave weird vibes. I was like, he could possibly, because right, they're investigating everyone on this bus, but they're
They're
not
not
investigating
investigating the
bus
bus
driver.
driver.
So
Mm.
it's like the people that they're not investigating could be possibly, but I honestly I can't remember, and it makes me mad because I wish I could. I didn't make videos about it because like I made like 2 videos about it, but I didn't want to spoil it because like it's a
Yeah.
journey.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I wish I remembered. I don't think I was right
Caitlin,
though.
Caitlin, did you guess who it was?
I guessed both of them, but I didn't guess the motive and I didn't guess the fact they were married. Like I didn't guess that part. So
Oh,
like I sussed out the bus driver pretty fast, and then kind of like in the middle I was like, oh, it has to be the woman in the red
it
with the
has to be.
red
Yeah.
plastic bag. But I had no idea about the whole backstory or the motive
Mm.
or like anything with that. And that
So,
like blew my mind.
second question. What did you guys think of the motive and the backstory and this whole thing that she like kind of was
I think she's just
mentally ill?
crazy. She's just crazy.
She
Like,
She was
was. She
Yeah.
was
ill.
crazy.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think she was also like a grieving mother at that point, and
Right.
you can see her trying to get over it, and it's when that damn video like surfaces, and basically, can you imagine that your daughter dies, and then you have the whole internet blaming her for her own death? Like that is,
Right.
I can see that, taking a big impact. Now, she was mentally unstable. This
She
lady
was ill.
was
She was ill. She was
mentally
ill.
unstable. But she was definitely also very much like a mother in grieving. And I can see, you kind of like, to me, you kind of almost feel a little sorry for both of them because that's like a horrible
I almost do.
situation.
And here's my
I
thing. Like
almost
Yeah.
do as well.
I almost
Almost.
do.
That's what I say. I
Almost.
almost do. Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
to me, there's so many terrible, tragic stories of people losing their children. No one should ever lose a child, period. But for them, they were trying to investigate it. Why did she jump off? Why did she want to get off the bus in the middle of the highway and all this stuff? And the mom was mentally ill, like no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But to me, every grieving parent would then have a license to kill whoever they wanted, who they felt was, at fault. It made no sense to me. Like they were trying,
Right.
it felt like the show was trying to give them a license to kill because honestly it did, because even in the second to last loop, the female lead and the male lead are like, it feels like something's off. It feels like we have a more loop left. Everything is resolved, but like we need to basically tell the truth about their daughter, their daughter's suspicious death.
Yeah.
And why she died. And it's like, why do we owe the killers anything? Like, I understand she was unjust. It was a totally unjust situation. There was a perv on the loose. But like, What? So we owe them this?
Yeah.
I don't think I saw it as them owing the killers that. I thought it was more owing it to the person who like it happened to, if that makes sense.
I
Because
don't
like
think that
you
came
have
across very well at all.
that's how I saw it, because like
Caitlin's also shaking her head.
because the very last thing you see is like, they've sorted it out, the bomb has gone, and the very last thing you see is like their daughter standing on the bridge, like it's the mirage of their daughter standing on the bridge. So to me it was almost like it was her story that needed to be told, and not necessarily to do with the parents. That's how I kind of like
That's what
interpreted
I
that
think that's almost a
aspect of
last
it.
ditch effort to steer it in that direction.
Right.
Hmm.
Right. I think that, I mean, we can talk about that ending later, but like, I think that was like intentional. I mean, okay, so for me overall, I thought the motive for this entire thing was very weak. Like, I did feel bad for the husband. I thought, I mean, he definitely was like coerced into it by like his wife, like just constantly
And
nagging
she
about
was
it and whatever.
manipulating him
She
and
was
blaming
manipulating
him.
him so
It was
bad.
an
Like,
emotional barrage.
emotional, yeah. And I did feel bad for him because honestly, I don't think he wanted anything to do with it. I think he wanted to move on and whatever, and he just couldn't. Um, but overall, even on my first watch, I was like, I understand why they did it. Like, they wanted to reopen the case. This, for some reason, was the only way she thought she could. But I felt the motive was very weak because it, like, it, and given the end and like everybody's thoughts on the propaganda with the cops and everything like that, it like the motive to me after knowing that was like, it gave another way for the cops to look good
Mm,
in terms of like righting the wrongs that they did before and not being able to make mistakes, because
mhm.
everybody who made that first mistake of like closing the case really quickly was not the present cops. They had quit the force or like have moved on to a different station or like all that stuff. So it was like the cops making them look good in terms of like rectifying a
Mhm.
mistake that they had made.
Yeah.
Um again, bringing into that propaganda and stuff. So like I would have really I would have preferred the terrorist angle.
Yeah.
Than like a grieving parent. Where I mean, it was unexpected and it definitely was surprising, but I would have preferred the terrorist angle. Even though it would have been really cliche because of like Speed, for example, or like any other bombing show. I would have preferred the cliche motive versus this whole thing.
I
Because
don't
it's,
mind a grieving parent, and I
yeah,
don't mind a grieving terrorist parent. But for her to try and do it so that the cops would look into it again, or for
right.
them to try and get this case reopened, uh, that didn't work for me at all.
Yeah.
Like, I would rather her, like, they just lean into her, she's going crazy, which they did a lot, but the mom just, she was like, we're gonna reunite with our daughter. Like, that is what I'm like wanting more of, that she's like
Yeah.
just wants to end it all and wants to go out with a bang.
There was just like a lot of plot holes when it came to her, like her. And again, I know they were trying to like portray a woman who was literally crazy. And just like obviously these plot holes would have made sense to her character because that was how crazy she was. But like a sane person watching this, like there were just a lot of plot holes with that logic in terms of opening a case because you blew up a bus full of people. Like if these two kids who were in this time loop, and maybe that was obviously the point of putting them in the time loop, but like the two kids dying in this bus, the police would never, I mean, I don't think the police would have ever figured out in
No.
a logical non-propaganda drama in somewhat real life. You would never have connected that their
Yeah.
motive for blowing up this bus was because to get justice for their daughter 5 years prior.
Mm-hmm,
Like
mm-hmm.
No, they would
that
have
would
just thought they
never
were
have been
crazy.
any connection whatsoever.
Correct.
I
Um
I saw a theory that was basically saying, now I don't know if I believe this theory or not, but it was saying that the girl how they showed her at the end, like it wasn't very much like talked about. I mean, besides just like, you saw her at the end and she was like, she looked happy. But a lot of people, not a lot actually, some people were saying that she's the one that put those two in the time loop to
Yep.
try and just like so
Mm.
her parents wouldn't be in so much turmoil, or to fix her parents' wrongs and stuff like that, which I think would be interesting. But I mean, obviously, it's just like a big leap from that.
That's a big leap.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
huge
yeah.
leap. And that's why I'm like, it's an interesting theory, but they don't really follow. There's no way to follow up on that. It's literally just pulling that out of thin air.
Yeah.
But I think that like what you guys were saying, like there were some definitely plot holes with the reasoning behind why she was doing that. I wish they would have just, I mean, they humanized them a lot, which I mean, they did that to all the characters, but there was just something missing, just a little bit with how and the reason why behind it.
I liked it better when she was like the mom was in the bathroom and she overheard some people talking about, oh, the daughter was sexually assaulted, or not even the daughter was sexually assaulted, that bus line has had problems with like young girls getting sexually assaulted. And she goes into the men's room and there's nobody there. And you're like, oh my God, she made it up. It's all in her head. She's going crazy. Like, that is what I love. Like, this sort of
That
like
would be
self gaslighting. Like, is it real? Is it fake? That is like the stuff that I was like hanging on to, that I was like, oh my God, she's losing her damn mind. And instead, it's proven right. I wish it wasn't proven right. I wish it was all in her head.
Mm.
See that.
Do you think
Like
that
her
would
not being able to accept the fact that her daughter committed suicide or something.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
That her daughter was unhappy. Maybe she's the one who like kind of drove her daughter to commit suicide because she's crazy. Like, maybe something like, it
or
turned
maybe
out that way.
or that would have been a nice twist, that she actually killed her daughter.
Right.
And,
like,
dang, you
couldn't
guys are
live with
getting
that.
dark.
right. Like,
Yeah,
they had an
They are.
exchange. They had
I
an
think-
exchange or something beforehand,
But, yeah,
that she got on the bus or something, and it was
That'd be like
it caused her to
psychological
freak
thriller.
out and was like, I need to get off this bus right now. And that's why she committed suicide. Or it could be seen that she now for sure committed suicide. That is what I would have preferred. However, looking back, I can see the breadcrumbs of it being like, it started in the first episode. Li Shing, I think she wakes up and she immediately accuses the male lead of sexual harassment.
Just for like hitting her, like
just for like, I think she like touched her or something, like he like knocked into her, and she's like, sexual harasser, perv on the bus. And I was like, oh, it makes so much sense that like it circles the reason why the girl tried to get off the bus is because it was a perv on the bus, and it was the same situation. So I was like, oh, I can see why they tried to go full circle with it, with the first, not the first loop, but one of the first loops where she's lucid and she tries to get off the bus. That's her excuse to get off the bus. It's the same reason that the girl got off the bus, the daughter. But again, it didn't sit well with me.
The reasoning for it.
Yeah. And I think me and Caitlin are simpatico on this.
Yeah.
I don't know, like I could almost, and I'm saying almost at a stretch, believe that a person could go to the crazy place of what they see is completely irrational to someone who isn't in that place. And I think that's how, they made the mother come across. And to them, it was the fact that that was the exact same bus at the exact same time that her daughter kind of like died. That's why the bomb goes off at exactly the same time, every single time. Well, it's the timer is meant to go off, in case she doesn't pull it, but the timer is meant to go off at the time that the daughter jumped out of the bus. So I think like those little details in their mind would be plenty to connect everything. Would it happen? Absolutely not, because they wouldn't, even think twice about a case from 5 years ago. Now, I understand where the mother is going from in terms of she's crazy in her mind. It's like there's no rhyme or reason to her actions or, anything. But the father, however, he was not crazy. He was, like you guys were both saying, under a lot of emotional abuse from her and like doing all of that, plus being a grieving father, plus like being pushed to the absolute limit. Um, Now, I don't think it's justifiable. Their actions are not justifiable, however much the show tries to make you believe that they are. I don't think they are. Um, but I also, that is one of the things actually that a lot of people commented, and that's why. So on Douban, this opened up on Douban with a score of 8.3, I believe. Really, really high
A
score.
little
And then
higher.
like
Yeah.
overnight it started dropping as soon as that last episode aired, and it was because people were not happy with the fact of how tidy everything was at the end.
Yep.
They didn't think it should have been that tidy. They didn't like it that the cops got all of this glory and whatnot, when realistically speaking it was the male lead and the female lead that had
Hmm.
basically been going through the ringer time and time and time and time and time again,
Right.
to basically like resolve this. And they think like basically what they say is that, like, a lot of people were saying was that that last loop is because there's still obviously one person like dies, which is the cop, because in like the penultimate loop the cop dies.
Hmm.
They manage to get the bomb off, but the cop dies. But that's not tidy enough for them. Like nobody is able to die.
I
So
thought,
like,
okay, he died in the line of duty. He was
yeah,
a
Right.
hero.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
We're done.
that's
It's
like,
like
yeah,
everybody
but
lives.
no, they
The
go
truth is
back
out.
in again. They go back in again. And it's like, well, are you doing it for the fact that, everybody needs to stay alive, or do you just want
You're
to,
saving someone who's not on the bus now?
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So that was the big hoo-ha that a lot of people had with this drama right at the
It like
end, was
made
the
it
fact
didn't
that
make it
everything
did
was
not make
too
sense.
tidy. Yeah,
No.
everything was too tidy. That's what people, like, a lot of people would say, is that it was too tidy. Now, when you're going to touch on, you know, subjects like this, you're always going to have pushback. You're always going to have to, like, I'd actually be really interested to see what the book is like and to see what the story is like in the book, because books have a lot more freedom in China than dramas do. And this was Tencent Video. So they were lucky, because if this was on TV, it would have been even worse. It would have been way, way more censored than it
Oh
is.
yeah.
So, it was lucky that they just decided to do a web broadcast as opposed to being web and TV. Um, but yeah, like overall, like I understand, and I'm terrible at this. I am. And I will hold both my hands up. But I do give Chinese dramas a lot of grace in terms of, I know that there's certain things that they are very limited on doing because they just won't be able to pass it through censorship. And I don't know if specifically that tidy ending, and obviously the cop glory and whatnot is very much up there for them being, you know, up and on good terms with censorship. That tidy ending, I don't know if whether that's also a case of, because everybody who needs to gets punished gets punished. A perv gets punished. The parents get punished.
Does the
Everybody
perv
who's
get
like,
punished?
he does. He goes to prison.
He goes to prison, and then the
The
idea is
father,
the father
yeah,
kills him in prison. Yeah, that was the
like
idea.
they
Oh, they
implant
didn't
that
show him
idea.
getting
No, no.
killed.
No,
You just see
no,
the
no, no,
dad like
no, no.
looking at him with the
Yeah,
murderous
yeah,
That
yeah,
that
eyes.
yeah,
was that was
yeah,
like
yeah,
you were supposed to make that connection.
Okay, that's
yeah, yeah,
lightning in the
yeah.
sky, starry love style. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Lightning is,
Sorry.
I'm never gonna get it.
I'm never gonna get over it.
No. But yeah, that was, I think, the connection that they were trying to make, that like everybody who's bad gets punished and everybody who's good gets rewarded. So it's very neat and tidy, I think. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah. So let's have a little bit, let's talk about acting, because I think this is, for however loopy the story gets. The acting is really, really good.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's much to point at in terms of acting. I loved the female lead, loved the male lead, loved both of them. Like I said, crazy lady. I feel like this lady does it, the bomb lady. I'm gonna call it the bomb
Okay,
lady
there's
now because we're
something
not.
about the sort of vacant look in her eye
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
is terrifying.
She
Yeah.
does it so
Mm.
well. You're like,
She
Yes.
really
it's
does. She
scary.
really does. Where else have I seen her? I'm gonna you guys go ahead, and I'm just gonna, because I'm pretty sure I've seen her somewhere else, and she played a really bad
A bad person.
da-da-da-da,
So the
bad
loop that I
person.
remember her being the most scary was the loop, I think, when they first try to take the bomb
Yes.
away from her.
Oh my
And
Mhm.
she just
Mm.
she ups and
She
shanks
just
like everybody
stabs.
on the
Yeah.
bus.
Yeah.
And she kills Shi Ching like with a stab right in her jugular. And I was like, oh my God. No, I mean, I didn't see it coming. And she does it with such precision. There's no malice or anything. It's just like, this is what's happening. And you can see there's like nothing in her. She's gone.
She's not there.
Mm.
She's not even there.
That
And I'm like,
episode.
oh my God, this lady's a devil.
It was so
Mhm,
crazy too,
mhm.
because like it was so unexpected. Because right, they're like, okay, we know who it is. We're just gonna this will be easy. And you think
Right.
it's
We
going to
we
be.
can overpower her. There's two young people on the bus. They can overpower this old lady in her what, 50s maybe?
She's
Late 40s?
insane. Was not expecting a knife to be
Oh
pulled
my
out. Like, I don't
God.
think anyone was. Like, that episode was so, oh my gosh, like
She
Yeah.
all
was
jaws
ready. She
dropped.
was ready to tussle.
She
And you
was.
just didn't expect it.
Mm.
It was a like a brutality that you just didn't expect.
I
I
wanted
think.
to oh, sorry.
No, 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 no. You can go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh wait, no. First, did you find out which drama she's in where she's not
No,
a nice
I
bus lady?
didn't. No, no, no. I don't. I don't. I'm sure I've seen it somewhere, but I can't figure it out, and I can't
I
figure it
want to
out
know now.
on
But
my
I
drama
wanted to
list.
discuss something with you guys because I'm really curious. Okay, so okay, right? The cosplayer guy, the cute kitten guy, like love him first
Oh,
of all.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So did anyone like? Because I was looking at like theories and I was thinking of like our own theories. Because like when he gets off the bus with them, were you guys expecting him to be pulled into the loop, or was it something where you're
No,
like, no, no,
because
no, that's not going to
he
happen?
never got on the bus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay. So that's what that was because I was just like wondering, well, in general though, like why do you think yeah, because I was thinking the reason why the guy, like her partner on the bus,
Yeah.
was pulled into the loop was because when she pulled him off, he died in a different spot or something like that. But I was like
Right.
interested in theories with that because yeah, you're right. He never got on the bus. I forgot about that, but I saw a lot of people be like, oh, it's because like the guy first joined her in the loop like right at the beginning because he didn't die in the spot he should have in the first time or something like that. So I thought that was
Oh,
interesting.
so we were
Yeah. I think.
discussing why the male lead joined the loop.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't really have many thoughts on that.
Okay.
I think Caitlin does though. Caitlin, did you
I'm
have
I
a
mean,
curious.
I think what you said was my theory is like, yeah, she got him off the bus, but he still died.
Yeah, he died somewhere else.
He
Yeah.
died somewhere else. And I think maybe if somebody was manipulating this, maybe they were like, okay, she definitely needs some help. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
She can't do
but
this
yeah,
alone.
no,
This woman's got a knife.
yeah, I think that theory is like he still died, and she
Yeah.
technically still died with like hitting her head on the not die, but like
No,
hitting her
she
head
didn't
on the
die. She just fell
sidewalk.
asleep.
Just,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, but that was like the standby mode. She was in
Yeah.
standby mode while he was dying. So
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
Mhm.
I think that
Okay.
was kind of my I agree. That was my theory as well.
All right.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Which loop was your favorite? I
The
know there's
watermelon.
many.
The
The
watermelon.
The watermelon.
watermelon.
Really?
I almost
I
cried.
like. Yeah. Yeah.
It's the
The
watermelon
watermelon guy.
loop.
Yeah.
It
I
was really
liked
good.
I liked the cat guy. The
Me
the
too.
guy that just goes around rescuing cats. Like
was
I
so
feel like
cute.
that's, you know,
When they
that's
said, okay,
adorable.
maybe it's just because I'm not. When they open up his backpack and it's a cat, if I had a table in front of me, I would have flipped the table. I was like, get out of here that it's a cat. He's a cat man. And he's out here rescuing
Yes.
stray cats. And he's just a gentle soul
He
that cosplays on
is.
the weekends.
It's
Get
such a
out of here.
cute.
Like,
It's so
what?
It's so
cute. It made me
cute.
so happy. I was so happy. I was like, this is the
I
best
was
thing
like,
ever.
Yeah.
what?
And the fact that
Okay.
like he's been living with like, you know, his condition and whatnot, and his mum is just so
His
The
mom is
mom.
Ridiculous.
insane.
so
Insane.
annoying. So annoying.
Yeah. And like and do you know what was really sad as
Oh
well?
my
It
god,
was
she
the
ruined
fact
that loop though.
Yeah.
Because
she did.
they all
She
get
did.
dragged in. They all freaking because the surveillance state. They all get dragged in anyway to get interrogated. And she comes busting in with this letter that he left them
Yeah.
in his diary, which
But also,
stupid.
why the hell
He's
would
stupid.
you write that in the
He's
first
so
Like
stupid.
they're
But
gonna
then
see
she
it? Like
comes,
what?
yeah, and then she comes and ruins his entire testimony
Yeah.
with this letter that he wrote to her that was very heartfelt and like, you know, if I don't come back or whatever, if something
Yeah.
bad happens to me, you know, go to this address and, you know, I'm sorry, blah, blah. It was like this very thing. She gets pissed and goes to the precinct. I was like, bitch, just like she ruined it. She ruined
Just
that loop completely.
insufferable.
Yeah.
But it was really sad for a little bit there that you'd think, I mean, to these characters, they're just living the same life over and over again. But he like has a real connection with his dad in that loop where his dad kind of like stands up for him and he knows everything and whatnot. And then that all just goes away. Yes, by
Right.
the end, they're celebrating his birthday with him and whatnot. But that does all just go away. And I feel a little bad that you get to see throughout the drama,
Moments of
he is the
growth,
only
but then it
one.
gets reset.
Yeah, but then it gets
Gets reset.
Exactly. And I'm like, I get it because the only one that you really get to see outside of the bus is the cat guy. Everybody else, you see their stories while they're on the bus. So you don't really see anything new from them. But like that's why that story is just like, oh my god, like all of this growth, everything happens, and then it just gets like wiped away. So yeah, that was I did really like the watermelon one though, because that
The
was
water
just
when they
he's just
start breaking open the
protecting these
watermelon, eating it. I
watermelons.
was like, this is so wholesome. Everyone's eating this
Yeah.
watermelon that he grew for his son.
Did-
That was me. That was me.
It was so stressful, and then you get to that scene and it's like I see the light. Like this is great. Like
Yeah.
wow, everyone can get along. No one has to
And then
die.
boom!
And then boom, the bomb goes off. I was like, God damn
I
it.
gotta love nice bus lady.
nice bus
She's got to
lady.
ruin everything.
Worst.
Nice bus
bitch.
lady.
Of course, did they offer her watermelon? She was like, no, I don't
Yeah,
want
she
any.
doesn't take
Yeah.
it.
I
No,
just
I
want to
don't
blow
want
you
any.
guys up. No,
No,
Yeah.
I'm
thank you.
done. Yeah, I'm done over here.
My favorite
Um,
was when Bai Jingting like first got into the loop and tried to do all the things.
Oh, yeah, that was funny.
It was like, and the girls just like, they tried that already. Like, just let him get it
Just
out.
listen to
Let
me,
him
like,
just
I'm
do all
done.
that stuff. I'll just sit
Yeah,
here and
yeah, yeah.
die 8 times
Over and
until he
over and
tries
over
everything.
again.
He wouldn't listen to her. And
He
then like at
wouldn't.
the end, he looks exhausted. He's so like he's just like and then she's like, "Are you finally
Are you done?
here now?"
Are you done?
Yeah.
Exactly. That was my
Can
favorite.
we
Holding a
can we
child,
start
like
Yeah. Yeah.
can we start working together now? Like, can we, put our
was
heads
good.
together and start
Yeah.
figuring this crap out? I will say though, it is very much an error, trial and error, and I do appreciate that it's not like they don't just instantly figure everything out. Like,
Right.
it's very much a trial and error situation. And it's like every single time they kind of have to glean more and more details. Either if they stay on the bus from people on the bus, or if they get off the bus, things on the bus. But also, like, not only that, but it's already stressful enough that the fact that they're going to be blown up and die, but you have the fact that he is waking up later and later. Like, it's taking him longer to wake up every time they come back.
Oh, so
And he's
stressful.
starting to get sicker and sicker every time they come back. Where you get to like the last loop or whatever it is, and he's like not waking up at all. So
Non-responsive.
it's like,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
So it's like, bless this girl. She's just like, oh my God, like doing it all by herself by the end of it, like trying to get help where, she needs to get help.
My
So
favorite
yeah.
thing was that they were talking, the guy that had the suitcase, which his story was heart-wrenching as well. He like
Oh
got
my
kicked out of his
yeah.
garage, and he
So
was dirt
sad.
poor, and he was just like a kind soul that had
Mm.
no education and no means to kind of get a better job. And one of the loops, she says her excuse to get off the bus was that she needed a feminine product or something, or
Yeah.
an
He
excuse
had
to look in
some,
someone's bag was
yeah,
to look in the bitch
medicine
ladies.
lady. Yeah, medicine
No,
lady.
to look
No,
in
to look in the red bag.
the red bag was that she
Oh.
thought she was like, I need a pad
Oh,
or
yeah.
a tampon or something. And he was like, they were like, we're just gonna get off the bus, and he pulls on her shirt or something, and he opens his suitcase and hands her a pad, and I was like,
yeah.
angel.
Yeah.
And the
So
whole
nice.
time we're watching these people, like they're awful. They're the ones that blow up the bus,
right?
and then we're seeing their stories and how they are the most kind, like best people ever in the world. We're like, I'm so sorry, I said so many mean things about this character.
Yeah.
And they're such a
Yeah.
nice person.
But then every time they enlist him to help, the text is like, you'll be a good Samaritan, you'll get some reward money. And he's my favorite thing is every single loop that they ask him to help, he's like, really? Like, well, like, are you sure that I'll be a good Samaritan? I'll get some reward money. It is hysterical that they have to like placate him with this, he'll do a good deed and he'll be rewarded.
That's the watermelon guy, isn't it? That they go
no,
to
it's the
help.
suitcase
Is it
guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will say the scene that cracks me up every time, and there's many, but there is one specific one that cracks me up every time, is they're in the loop and she's faking that she's sick and she can't breathe, she needs some medication.
Why does she keep forgetting that the old lady has an entire pharmacy in her bag?
Old
medication.
Why does she keep it? That would be front of mind every loop, that this old lady has everything. I mean, ibuprofen, Excedrin, Aleve, everything. Like, she has everything in her bag. She's like, what do you need? I have, what is it? She had like Bayer aspirin. She had like aspirin in her bag.
And the lady's just like trying to get it out of the bag, and she literally just looks at wrong bag. It's the other bag, and she's like, she's seen it. And I'm like,
she's like, it's the other bag.
It's the other bag.
But it's like,
but I will say they are juggling a lot of information. So things are bound to slip. And she's like, and she says it, and she's like, oh damn it, I forgot she has medicine. And
it's so silly. And then, but then in one of the loops, she's like, do you have asthma medication? Or like, do you have the medication? She's like, I don't have any medicine. I was like,
right?
What?
You're lying.
In every loop, you are so always there for people. But when people ask, you're like,
actually
minding my business. Actually, there's no medication here. Move along. Like, the audacity. I can't with her.
So the only character we didn't get any background on was the muscle guy.
The beefcake with the headphones.
I think the reason why though is because he didn't have a bag. So
they like ruled him out.
The only thing he had was his headset and probably the phone or whatever. But like, I think that's one of the reasons why we didn't get anything on him. But like, I found it hilarious that they showed him in like the montage in the end. It was like living his best life, and I'm like, dude,
bro, I don't even know your name.
Yeah, like what? What were
always-
you? What's your backstory? Like,
He's
why
always
should we
pinning people
care?
down. That's
Who
all
are
he's
you?
doing. He's
Yeah.
the muscle. He's
He's
just the
the
muscle.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, I understand why they didn't really go into his background because there was no need to, but like, why put him on the bus? Like,
Ooh.
Because
why?
he
I
needed
mean,
other than
somebody
the
to hold
muscle
the
guy,
lady
other-
down.
To
than the
pin her
muscle
down.
guy.
No,
It's
there
like
were
a
so
lady
many.
down.
There were so many loops where it was just them two
Yeah.
screaming in slow motion to like help them detain
Right.
her, and no
didn't-
one's getting
He
up to
didn't.
help
He
them.
didn't hear them, Jess. He had his
'Cause of the
headphones.
headphones.
He did have his headphones on.
I need to know what brand those are. 'Cause those
I
are
know,
great
This
right?
is
noise
okay. So this
canceling.
is my thing. This is my thing. I am never. This might be a woman thing too. Is like I'm a never in public with headphones on
Oh, I am.
because
I
when shit goes down, I'm not going to be caught unawares. So
I am, but I don't have both my ears on.
I
yes,
never
I
am
I
with
like have
See,
one
headphones on.
see, is this where the America Europe division comes on?
I don't
'Cause, like,
know.
I don't know.
I wear headphones all the time. The only time I don't wear headphones is when I walk into work because it's still like dark out, and like I don't play when it's still dark out. But overall, like if I'm coming home from work, or if I'm going to the shops or whatever, I have headphones on. I have them loud. Like I am
I can
out of this
see
world.
I can see the bus or like in a Starbucks, headphones on. As soon as there's riffraff, headphones
True.
off.
Transparency
Headphones
mode or just taking them
off.
off.
Yeah. So him just sitting there with his headphones on, I was like, that doesn't make any sense to me because as
I'm not
soon
gonna
as
give
like
full.
someone's making commotion, I'm like, what's
happening?
going
Give
on?
me the tea.
Right. Right.
Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. It's a man thing, I guess. He was
Uh,
minding his
well,
own
yeah.
business.
He was just minding his own business, and then he came
Just
in
wanted
just
to
in the
go to
nick
the
of time to
gym.
hold her down.
Just wants to go to the gym.
No.
Just wanted to go to the gym. Oh, right. I don't even know what else
The cops.
we've already talked about.
Oh,
Cops, right.
you had all this
Caitlin
stuff
wants
about the
to talk. Yeah,
cops.
Caitlin
Yeah.
wants to talk about the cops. Go ahead, Caitlin.
Okay, so this goes into like your next question of did you like how everything was resolved? I mean, we already talked about this. Like, it was a huge police propaganda. Like, it didn't need to be that tight. It was all of like the police will figure everything out, even though these two college students were figuring it out for them and they're just giving them information.
He's not in college. He's just a little game designer. And I'll
that's
tell you
true.
what,
That's true.
I didn't give a shit about anything happening in his life when he visited his friend and like him getting calls constantly about him missing the meeting. I was like, don't care at all. That being said, what did you pick up about the cops?
um well, okay, so there was multiple things. One, I hated this in the first watch and I still hated him in the second watch, and that was the younger male cop. I was like, dude,
Yeah, he's annoying.
like, I understand in some loops
punk.
he was grieving. Yeah, he was a punk. He was a punk. And
Yeah.
honestly, if I was his like boss, I would have hit him over the head. I would have been like, dude, like, you're jumping to conclusions here. Like, and granted, the guy did say that. Like, old Zhang did say that a couple times to multiple of these cops, being like, don't jump to conclusions. Like the woman cop, the younger woman cop in the uniform did the same exact thing. I just like, and I get it. Some cops are like cops everywhere. It doesn't matter where, like, have prejudice. Like, people have prejudice. Like, it's just that type of thing. But it's just like, dude, you have no evidence against these two people. And you're jumping to these conclusions that there's these like master terrorists that are like going to like bomb this bus and like have no connection whatsoever before getting on this bus. Like, you find this out and you're like, this junior male cop just was like, I want them condemned the entire time. And like, it's just it. And I get it. I mean, there's in dramas in general, there's other with cop dramas, there's always like a younger cop, older cop dynamic. I mean, and that's always kind of like the trope of like the younger cop is always more of a hothead, more of like jumping into action, more dangerous. But this dude wasn't even like really jumping into action or anything. Like, he was like he was a hothead, yeah, but like
Yeah.
old Zhang was running around doing most of the work. But then
Had
like
an
the minute
attitude.
old Zhang dies, he's like the young guy was like, oh, I guess I have to listen to these teenagers again. I'm like,
No, all of a sudden he calms down.
like, are you like really like that's when you decide to listen to these people? I didn't like his attitude the entire time.
Same.
Like and like the fact that like the whole idea, the fact that this was presented as a propaganda to how good the cops weren't that good.
Nope.
like like
No.
without the two teenagers giving them the information, without the surveillance they had, without the everything, they didn't do any investigating themselves. They didn't do anything. They were given everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then they kind of just was like, let's do drug tests. Like that was the entire thing.
They're talking
Like,
about loops. My least favorite
Yeah.
loop was the one that they got interrogated endlessly.
Oh my God,
And
Jen.
they had it was
I
a
had to
one where
skip
they
that.
had drawn out, they figured out that they were getting sent back in the loops further back in time every time.
right,
Mm.
right.
And they had that diagram that had it was just numbers. That's all the police saw. And they found the freaking, how the hell did they find that piece of paper that they threw away? I was like, how the hell? So they had the paper and they were like, tell us what these numbers mean. And they were consistently telling him, it's the numbers mean that we're coming back in time because the loops. And they were like, don't tell us about the loops. And they were like, what? Like, there's no other way to explain this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you are a cop in real life and somebody comes at you saying like I'm stuck in a time loop, like yeah, that reaction probably is plausible. Like you're not going to believe somebody talking about a time loop, but like
it was so frustrating.
it was
was.
so frustrating. And then like just going back on the fact that like this was supposed to be like in all of it, it was supposed to be propaganda for how good the cops are. The cops weren't even that good.
Nope.
Like if you look at it, they were not good at all in this drama. Like
my
at all.
favorite not loop, my favorite plot hole is that their story every time they got caught by the cops was that we're boyfriend and girlfriend. Without fail, the cops checked their phone records
right
to see if they contacted anybody else on the bus.
Mm-hmm.
They don't put two and two together that they never contacted each other.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's so silly.
They're boyfriend and girlfriend and they never called each other.
Right.
Never
Or
had
their
any
phones.
contact.
It's a secret relationship.
Right.
I was like, why don't they bring that up? Like their story is consistently, we're boyfriend and girlfriend. We were on the bus, blah, 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 blah. And they're never, nobody ever calls them on the fact that they've never contacted each other in their lives.
Right.
Silly.
Yeah.
It's silly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And
It
also
is,
it's
it
like you
is.
could eliminate most of the cop roles in this drama and just
Yeah.
have like two and you would still have a story.
It feels like there's so many
did it.
cops on the case
Yeah.
Yeah.
and still they get nowhere.
Yeah. It's just like I mean, I could go on and on and how like nitpicking on like, really, that was your decision on this, or like, yeah, it was not well written when it came to Cop Shop and like all that stuff, especially with what they were trying to do with it.
Them texting the cop as well and then calling him, I was like, that's the linchpin, is that you're gonna call old Zhang? Old Zhang? I was like, that's directly? And
Well,
he's
I'm
gonna believe
guessing.
it?
He's gonna answer it.
He's gonna answer and he's gonna believe it? I was like, what?
I mean, that was the one thing that kind of made sense though, because he
was like,
say,
I'm gonna take it seriously and then we'll deal with the consequences later if it's not real.
Yeah.
Mm.
And
I
I'm
mean,
like,
that
okay,
did kind of
but
made sense, but
yeah.
Like, how did you? Yeah, I mean, yeah, there were just a lot of plot holes with the whole connection.
Overall, though, it was still a very good show that we recommend.
It was. Oh yeah,
I was
yeah.
gonna say, I was
You're
gonna
not
say,
negative
this is
Nelly.
sounding like, it was sounding
We
a lot
loved it.
negative over here.
We're just picking it apart because it's interesting to know, what other people think about specific scenes and how they did things. But It was a great show. I
Going
liked
back to the game designer thing, oh my God, he started getting ripped up for being a game designer because in a few of the loops, they started suspecting him as being the bomber,
Mhm.
the male lead. And they were like, oh, it's the violence in all of the video games. And his
Right.
game was particularly violent and couldn't get sold and all this stuff. And I was like, what the hell? Like China going in
Right.
on
No, that
video
was
games.
really no,
Right.
no. That was a thing because they like
It was.
limited. They had a whole thing going on over there where people were playing for hours and hours on end, and it was like literally people were dying. They were just playing like crazy, and they had like they put a limit on stuff. It was wild. It was wild for a minute there. So I'm guessing that's where that specific thing is coming from.
It just felt like
Yeah.
the little grubby little fingers of like, government censorship and intervention was like through a little bit of these like plot beats. And that was what was
Right.
icking me,
Right.
the deeper you got into the show. And I mentioned Speed earlier. So I was like, why do I like Speed more than this show? And like Keanu Reeves is a cop.
Right.
Mm.
And he is half of the reason why the whole thing turns out okay. Like he is a hero in this. And I'm not thinking that Speed is this police propaganda movie.
Yeah, but China
So
will always have that aspect to their stuff, won't they?
I was like trying to
will-
like convict myself. I was like, why do I think that Speed is not police propaganda, but then Reset is? And I just thought like they crafted the character better. Like the character is imperfect, right? He's cocky, he's naive, he's like, this hot shot. And that was something that the villain in Speed says all the time. He's like, pop quiz, hot shot, or whatever. Like that's the thing that the villain says every time he calls Keanu up. And he's full of flaws.
Mhm.
And it's a personal vendetta
Well,
against
also
Keanu.
the cop never got on the bus and Reset. like
Right,
that
like
was my
Keanu
big thing. That was
Keanu's
my
like
big
takes it
thing,
upon
is even
himself
though, that was my
to get
big
on the
thing with
bus.
Reset.
Yeah.
That was my big thing with Reset is like, the cops attempted to get on like in various loops or whatever, but overall, the cops never got on the bus.
No.
And yet they took all the credit.
Right.
And that was my big thing.
They
was
don't
like,
necessarily put
seriously?
themselves in harm's way. Like Keanu's like, I'm getting on this bus.
Right.
And he's in it the rest of the show, like the movie. Right?
The thing is, I haven't watched that movie.
I haven't
but
either.
from what you're
Oh
saying,
shit.
I'm
Oh.
guessing
Well,
that
no, okay. Let's pause here. Watch the freaking movie because it's
Yeah.
amazing.
It's a good movie.
Okay.
I'm guessing that but like what you're saying is that Keanu is living the loop over and over again.
There's no
But
loop.
it's not a
That's what you're-
loop. It's not a
It's-
loop.
there's
It's
no
just
loop.
okay,
a bomber.
okay.
It's just a guy wanting to blow
Okay.
up a bus for
Yes.
his reason.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
But they
But the
can't
cop,
stop the bus.
they cannot. Okay, so in Speed, obviously, the bus has to go above a certain speed, or else when they go below that speed, the bomb will detonate.
Oh, okay.
So that's why it's called Speed, because the bus is speeding throughout. I think it's LA,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they can't slow down.
Yeah.
So it's this race against time, and they, do they have to refuel the bus? Are they going to get the people off the bus, and then, who's going to drive the bus, and so all these different things.
High intensity.
It's high
Yeah.
octane,
Yeah.
high
Yeah.
intensity.
Sandra Bullock and Keanu Reeves.
They had so much chemistry.
So much chemistry.
Oh, so
So
much
much
chemistry.
chemistry.
Wait, what's
You
it
have to
called
watch
again?
it.
Speed.
Speed.
Just Speed? Okay.
Speed. That's it. Speed.
I'll write it down. Okay.
Anyways, so long story short, I was once you see it, maybe we can have this conversation offline again of like why I feel like Speed does a way better job of making the police seem believable, because they're not perfect. Like the police are making mistakes, and then they're also helping the people on the bus make better decisions. Keanu is not an infallible hero. He's making mistakes. He's a hothead. He's emotional, but then he's charming as well, because you're rooting for these people. You're rooting for Keanu. You're rooting for Sandy. Like it's just it's written better, I guess, than how this one is with the police. I don't know.
So
Mhm.
what Liliana said about reading the book, I kind of want to read the book too, because what if they changed a lot and we just don't know?
Mm.
Like that would be really interesting if they changed that specifically for
Is this a traditionally published book in China, or is it like a online novel?
I think it might be a web novel, which makes it
Mm.
even, yeah, they
It
will
could
have
take
even
even
less
more liberties.
restrictions.
yeah,
Yeah,
that'd
they
be
would have,
interesting.
um, yeah, they would have even less restrictions than the drama itself. The thing is, whenever I see a Chinese drama that includes police, I know it's going to have an you know, over clean image. That's
And
just the way
it
it is.
wasn't necessarily that the police, like, it's their reliance and their faith in the police as well that they
Yeah.
keep voicing throughout the show.
Even when they get like interrogated for forever and like
There's
it's just
the
like
next
there's
loop, they come
no
back and they're like,
hope.
we gotta go to the police. I'm like,
And then
why?
uh,
Why?
yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I'm not to change. Can I change the subject?
Absolutely. Please
Okay,
do.
so we all know. I mean, people like listening to this might not know, but we all know there's going to be a season 2,
Correct.
Yep.
and I remember when this first ended, people were making theories on like not knowing there was going to be a season 2, but people made theories and pointed out this um so there was a bomb on the bus, but like half the time or half the loops early on in the drama, they actually crashed into a oil tanker at an intersection before
Mm-hmm.
getting to the bridge.
Yeah.
And people were like, why do you see that bike like the bike delivery guy in the scenes all the time? Like, why is he there all the time? Um, and so they had this theory that he was in the loop or he was doing something with the loop or whatever. And that obviously was never confirmed with the first season, but now with the second season, people are like, okay, what could the second season be? Could it be like the loop having to do with this delivery person in the intersection? Or is it completely different cast, completely different loop, completely different time, maybe? Is it a continuation of the original cast, which I hope it isn't?
Mm.
Like,
I
what
don't
do
think
you
it will
guys
be.
think?
I don't think so.
I
I
think
think
it's
it
going to
should be
be,
another loop, like another loop happens. And that's something that they brought up the lore of like the loops happening with the cosplayer because he was like, "Oh, it's too early for loops in the
Yeah,
Right.
that's
year,"
yeah.
right.
and I was like, "Fuck you say?" He's like, "Usually loops happen in August," he said,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
of the 8th month of the year is the flip it and it's the infinity
Yeah, yeah,
symbol.
yeah.
Mhm.
I think it'll be a completely different story. It doesn't make sense because if it was that delivery guy, whatever he does to change it will affect the bus, and then the story on the bus won't make it just
I
won't
yeah.
work.
Yeah.
So for
Mm-hmm.
me, I think it'll
Now,
be
do
a
you think
completely
maybe
different
if he
story.
was in the intersection, he could have been like started his own loop and like just went about his day and like entered a loop later? Maybe it had nothing to do with the bus, or
I
maybe
don't
it will be him, but
Like
it
a
will be like
groundhog
No.
okay,
a
situation.
if
That'd
different
be
any
day.
interesting
character is
though.
gonna be in a loop, it's gonna be the person that was dying to be in the loop and never got in the loop. It's the
Yeah, the cat
cosplayer.
guy.
True.
Yeah, the cat
Yeah,
guy.
I would
true,
love
true.
to
Yeah.
see the cosplayer again though.
So like I feel like if they had to pick a character to base another loop story on from season 1, it would be the
The
cat guy.
cosplayer. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Mhm.
cosplayer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
Right.
don't think they would
I
bring the main characters back. They already went
No.
through enough
no.
turmoil. That would just
Right.
be
No,
so
Just
they
let
I
them
think they'd
live.
give up. I think they would give up. They'd be
Watch it
like,
be
this is
like
too
their
much.
children. Watch it be
No,
No.
no,
like
no, 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 no. Yeah, no,
Please no. Don't speak that into existence.
Oh my
no.
gosh.
Right.
Genetic loops.
right.
God. I think we've been here for a while, and we've sounded. So I think to end the episode, let's go around and just give like something that we really, really enjoyed about this show because I feel like we want to end on
Okay,
a
sorry. We
positive
were
note.
criticizing the police aspect of it a lot, and um we freaking love the show. We gave it high scores all around.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
But I think to end on like a positive note, let's go around and have like a little, So for me personally, like I said, one of the highlights is the acting. I thought it was really, really good throughout. Our main, couple. And like I said, I also really enjoy the fact that they are, bless them for all their faults. They just wake up and have to go at it again and wake up and have to go at it again. So they are like resilient characters, these two. So I really enjoyed all of that aspect. Is the story perfect? Absolutely not. There is lots of little niggly things wrong, with it. But even saying that, I still overall really, really enjoyed it. So yeah. Who's next? Jess, let's go.
Why do I? Okay, fine. I'll go next. The order is
You're like,
Liliana, me, Caitlin, Becky. Okay.
because you're like right in my eyesight direction as I'm looking at the screen. So
It feels like I'm sitting at the front of the class, and so I keep getting like picked on first for things. Okay. So something positive about the show, and I think it has to do with the conversation that I sort of touched on when I was mentioning Speed and Keanu getting on the bus, is that these two have a very poignant conversation in one of the loops where she goes, are if we back up enough in the loop where you can decide not to get on the bus, would you not get on the bus and just walk away knowing what you know? And she kind of tries to convict him and says, I would still get on the bus. I'm still going to get on this bus, to try and do what I can and save these people, because I'm, even though I want to live, period, I also don't think it's fair that these people don't know what's going on and they're just going to die every single one of these loops. And so I like that dichotomy of, what's right and what's wrong. Are you going to choose self-preservation over, doing what you can to knowing what you know? Do you have a responsibility to try and stop what's going to happen? Were you chosen for this loop because you can do something about it? So I like that sort of ethical dilemma. And I love how he's sort of the coward in this situation as well for a large part of the show. He's like, I don't owe anybody anything. And I'm like, you know what? I'm with him. Like, I don't owe anybody nothing. I'm going to get off the bus if I can, or I'm not going to get on the bus if I can, because it is none of my business. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, I didn't make the bomb. It's not my fault. Why do I got to fix somebody else's mistake? Why do I got to fix somebody else's crazy? So I was fully behind him, but she kind of talked him into it in the end. And by the end of the show, I love his conversation that he has with her and the confession that he has with her as well, where he says, I would still get on the bus and I would still try and find you. Like if I forget everything, I would still try and find you and say how much I want to be with you and how, all this stuff. It was a very sweet confession as he's like bleeding from all orifices. It was good. But I like that sort of growth for him and between them.
Caitlin.
I mean, we all know Asian dramas in general have a very wishy-washy success rate when it comes to sci-fi dramas. Like, there's some great ones
especially
out there,
K-dramas.
especially
I said
K-dramas. Yeah. But I think this one overall is a very good sci-fi drama. Like, we might have some issues with the plot and like how it's written, but like as a sci-fi drama, I remember the first time I watched this, I was very surprised on how well this story pulled it off. Like, I did not go in, like, even though I was also one of those people, I didn't watch this as it aired. I kind of started it because so many other people liked it and so many people were like praising it. But I still went in being like, it's a sci-fi drama. Like, I don't have expectations when it comes to sci-fi dramas because it's a real hit or miss. and I was pleasantly surprised. I think this is one of the best sci-fi dramas I've seen come out of any Asian country. Um because like we've seen time stuff before, time travel, time loops before, but like this is one of the better executed ones, and I just wanted to call that out cuz some people might see, I mean, like me, like I won't like look at a drama and say, okay, oh my god, it's sci-fi, I'm not gonna watch it. Like that's not me. But like some people might. Some people be like, oh my god, I've had so many issues with any
Mhm.
sci-fi drama I've ever watched, and they just haven't maybe watched the right one or like don't know where to find a good one. This is a good one. I think they pulled off the sci-fi part of it, even if it had a couple plot holes and like you still have questions at the end of like how it might have all started, like why choose the girl in the first place. Like they didn't really answer any of that stuff, but you don't really need it answered either. Like is it's not like something where you like it's a major plot hole where you're like,
No.
I need that to like be satisfied with this, you know?
Uh-huh. Like
Mm.
So
who
I
started
think
the loop? How did the loop start? Why
yeah.
is it her? I don't need those
Yeah, no one
questions
really, yeah. So I
answered.
think if
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
looking for a well written, fun, sit at the edge of your seat sci-fi action drama, I highly, highly recommend this.
Right. Becky.
So this is usually not my genre, and I believe I did watch this when it was airing, but there were only like, gosh, I think like 7 or 8 episodes out. And I was just like, I'm just gonna watch the first episode, see how I feel about it. And I haven't watched a show that has just captivated like me in so long to a point I like can't move from my seat. Like I'm like hungry,
Mm.
but I'm like, no, I'm not gonna pause it. I need to know what
Yeah,
happens
yeah,
next. And I like what Caitlin said. It did a really, really good job just like telling the story and just for that genre. I mean, it was probably like the first drama I really watched in that genre. And I'm like, ooh, I need to watch more of these. Like I kind of want to open up what I watch and try some different genres. It made me curious and excited to watch shows I haven't really checked out and looked at. And I overall I really loved it, and it definitely made me want to check out new things, but also like what I said before, I love what they did with like all the characters because going in, you don't realize what kind of drama it's going to be, and they're going to go in depth, and you're going to get all this backstories on all these different characters on the bus, and how much it like touched your heartstrings in each one.
Mm.
You never know what's going to happen in each story, and every time it emotionally affects you.
Yeah.
And I just think they did such a good job, like just keeping everyone entertained and just enthralled in the show. And I loved it. I definitely wish I could rewatch it again for the first time since now I know
Mm.
everything that happens.
This
But
is I
it's great.
agree. This is absolutely one of those where I wish I could like wipe it off my memory and watch it again because once you know the stuff, you there's not a lot you can do, but yeah.
Well, good thing we're getting a season 2 then.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Do
But
we
there's
know?
like
Know it?
nothing. We know nothing about
Nothing. We
season
only
2.
know the name
Okay.
and we have a
Nothing.
poster. We don't even know the cast.
Hey, at least we got a
Okay,
poster.
so God, I was gonna say, should we place bets on like what we think is gonna be the cast and plot? Or
We
is that
could.
too like
If you want to
too
bring
much?
up if you want to bring up the poster
Okay,
doesn't give
maybe
much
not bets,
away.
but
Have you
just like
seen the
predictions.
poster? So the poster is like a
Reset is it's
door.
reset 2?
It's
No,
restart.
it's
It's
no
called restart.
It's
restart.
called Restart? Oh Lord.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, 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 yeah. And it's like the poster is kind of like a door or a hallway with two shadows in the hallway,
Or like a tunnel. Well, it's
almost
like a
a
train
tunnel.
tunnel or
Yeah, yeah.
something.
I'm looking at
It's
it.
definitely a male and female in the poster. Like that's the only
Yeah,
thing. So you know it's gonna be a
yeah,
duo
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's a
again.
duo, but that's like I think
That's
all I
pretty much all
can
we got.
This is a whole new
glean
plot.
from
This is a
this.
whole
Yeah.
Yeah,
new
yeah,
Has to
yeah.
be a whole new
I
thing.
That's
What
my
if it's
thought
a train?
process.
What if they are trying to stop a train?
Oh, it
Or
could
like a
be.
subway or something? What if that's the case?
instead of
Oh
a
my
bus,
gracious.
Yeah, instead of bus.
they've moved on to a
Train
different
to
mode of
Busan, but it's a bomb.
transportation.
Could
Not
be.
zombies.
I guess that could be a
Zombies.
change.
Train to
I gotta
Busan.
look at
Zombies. Train to
UC.
Yeah,
Busan.
yeah. But
Yeah, that's
I'm looking at
like
this
I
post.
got
I don't know, y'all. Like this looks
I don't know. It looks like they're like catacombs or something.
yes.
Like,
that's what I was saying. It looks like tunnels to me, like underground sort of tunnels almost.
know.
This is like very
That's what it
distorted and
looks.
it's sort of illustrated. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what's gonna come out of
There's a
this
comment
one.
underneath it saying, I think it would make sense if it was different people, but wouldn't it be fun if they were there, but like a whole apartment was being reset the entire time?
A whole apartment?
A
That's
whole apartment complex.
that's
I'm
too
like,
much.
Hmm.
No.
too
Yeah,
much.
that's
Too
too
many
much to
people.
keep
Too many
track.
people.
Okay, if
Yeah, that's too
Groundhog Day
much.
can do it with a whole town.
True.
I suppose.
I don't
I
know.
suppose.
I want to know,
Uh,
well, if more information comes out about it, we should definitely discuss because I'm so curious what it's
Wow.
gonna be.
Yeah.
Like, we don't even know if it's actually going to be like a prequel or is it going to be a sequel, you know?
True.
Whoa.
Yeah, it doesn't say. Well,
Mhm.
it says MDL says that Reset is the prequel. So, in theory,
Oh, so it's a
Restart
sequel.
is the
Yeah.
sequel to
Mhm.
it. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
we don't know.
Yeah.
I
mean,
no
I
theories.
personally think it's going to be like a whole new story, whole new cast.
Yeah, I
Maybe
think
they'll
so.
have
yeah,
like
yeah,
a cameo, maybe.
Yeah, they'll have cameos.
But
That'd be fun.
My 2 cents is definitely on the whole new thing. Whole new cast, whole new
Mhm.
story.
yeah.
So yeah. I think that's it, guys. I think I don't even know how long we've been here. I don't want we knew it was always
All
going to
right.
be a long one. But that is it. Have you guys got any last things you sort of want to add, or I'm good. I think I've said everything I wanted to say.
I've said everything. I've literally said everything I need to say.
I've literally said
I
so.
just
We are go ahead, Becky.
Oh, I just want to say, I know it seemed like we were talking really negatively about the drama, but once again, I would like to reiterate, we all really, really enjoyed this and we
Loved
recommend
it.
it highly.
Yes.
So just disregard like a lot of negativity.
Look, I think it's only right that even if you adore a drama, you could still recognize what's, wrong with it or what could have been done better. I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that's a completely valid and healthy way at looking at
Yeah.
things. So that's what we've done. We've all loved it. We all really enjoyed the drama. Like, I mean, we all rated it really highly at the
So,
beginning
like,
of the
look, I'm
episode.
sure you guys know
So,
this by now, but I'll roast anything. Like, even if I love something, I'll roast it. So,
But also, everything we said, a lot of other people online were saying it.
oh yeah,
when
we're
it
not.
aired.
This isn't
So
an
it wasn't
original.
like,
Yeah,
it wasn't like we're all in left field, like making these
right.
criticisms of this drama. It's a common criticism of this
Mhm.
drama. Like, you can Google it and people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even the freaking wig comment that we came in hot with.
Exactly.
Like, that's not even.
I love that that was
Other
the
people
first
were talking
comment.
about it.
Like, let's talk about this show. First things first, that wig.
a wig. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's great.
I mean, no, to be fair though, this does remind me of there is a Bailu drama which is like a good few years old, Lucky's First Love. And my god,
Don't
the
even get me started. They put it on her wedding day in a ponytail. It looks like she was wearing a helmet. It was so bad.
It's
On her wedding
so
day.
bad. So
Can I find a
it
picture
doesn't
of it?
surprise me. It doesn't surprise me that like people talk about the wigs because like whenever that drama is brought up, that is one of the first things that gets mentioned. Is
Oh
that is
my
one of the
gracious.
worst wigs ever.
I
Ever.
almost stopped
They
watching it
made
because of that.
it
the wig.
makes Bailu look. I mean, it's horrendous. The wig is just so bad, so incredibly bad. It's like I can't even.
Here's
So
like I mean, you can't really tell in that
No,
picture.
you
but
Okay,
can't.
no, I'm gonna have to look it up myself. Hold on.
Yeah,
Please look it up.
Google it. Google it. It's called Lucky's First Love.
Ugh, it makes me so
And
mad just looking at it.
it's because the wig is just like Bobby, but it's like it looks horrendous. It looks so fake as well. It
So
looks so
it's
fake
like a short shoulder length
With
wig
bangs.
with bangs. Yeah,
with bang. Yeah. It's just it
Yeah.
looks like you know, it just doesn't look right. It just doesn't.
exactly. It
No,
looks.
this
Yeah,
is a real
exactly.
wig. This is a real drama.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So that's like why I'm saying it doesn't surprise me that people were like captivated and mentioning about the wig because like this on the show is like literally it's one of the first things people mention. It's like you have to learn to ignore the wig.
Oh, I'm
Right.
looking at
It's
the
true.
wedding photo.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
It is.
exactly. It's so bad.
So
It's
upsetting.
oh my
so
god.
bad. We kept saying Bailu must have peeved off her stylist for that drama because dear Lord.
It's like she's got this cute little face, and then they'd like slapped a wig on top
Oh,
from I don't know where they source this. It's just not.
makes me
And
so
then
upset.
ever
It's not.
since you have never ever seen Bailu in short hair.
She was
ever.
like, "We're not doing this. What we're not gonna do is put some shitty ass wig on my head again."
Always in like long, beautiful like extensions all below the shoulder hair. Like
Yeah,
she
yeah.
has never been with short hair again. So yeah, we've gone off on a tangent. Shall we
Okay,
wrap up
sorry.
the episode?
Yeah.
Right, guys, that is everything. I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode, and we shall see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.